These reveals are getting a bit out of arms. Anyway, it's Fragments of Silicon.
I would say it's less the reveals and more the arguments that spur up after the character shows up.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Well, like we'll talk about it any topic, but yeah, let's just say things got ugly after that. But anyway, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host Adam. Joining me as always is the regular crew, and let's get to the news. Oh, Twilight, why don't you start us off this week?
Alright, well, last Sunday I celebrated Father's Day with my family, and it was nice. Really couldn't go anywhere, and my father really can't go anywhere either, so, yeah, it was still good, though. Yeah, Monday, after taking my shower, my shower faucet developed a leak.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
How bad was the leak?
It wasn't too bad, but still, it's a good steady stream of water. Small steady stream, but yeah, I don't know. I couldn't guess how many gallons were wasted because of that, but I did the best I could, and I called the landlord and told her about it, and she said she'd get a guy over here in Tuesday, and that Tuesday evening she managed to get the water shut off, and we waited for the guy to show up, and he was coming from the next county, and he arrived, but it was a little after 6, which is when Ace Hardware closes up, and he took a look at it, and we discovered that the city water had caused the inside of the faucet to corrode and destroyed it, basically.
Fun.
Yeah. And it's an old outfit as well, so it's to be expected that it would eventually wear out. But he had, he couldn't get the parts that evening, but he came over this morning, and he got all fixed up. Got a new outfit in the shower, and he installed some turnoff valves. So, in case that ever happens again, I can just remove the paneling beside the shower to access the valves and turn the water off. But since it's all new stuff, I doubt anything's gonna happen during my time here. You never tell. Well, besides that, I've been playing the games for this week, and that's about it.
All right. Petty, you're up.
Well, the big thing that happened is today I finally was able to see the neurologist about getting Botox injections in my legs to hopefully help with muscle spasms. They did the first round in my right leg to make sure A, I'm not allergic, and B, that it doesn't cause my leg to go too limp. So, if
I'll still be able to walk on it.
Yeah. And if I don't have any issues with it, I should be getting shots every 6 to 8 weeks, I think he said.
How long?
Good question.
You should find that out.
Well, this is my cerebral palsy, something I've had since, I was born, so this might be an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
this, like for 2 years, or is it for, the rest of your life?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and um, it's still hot, and I hate it. I've also been looking at some games that recently went on sale on PS4 that I'm deciding whether or not I want to get.
Mm,
And I've also been trying the I guess two of the games for review. One, the PS4 one, I think it's Dreadnautical,
yeah.
and the SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
that's
can
gonna
tell it's from T2 Nordic because it's got a stupid subtitle.
be.
It makes sense.
No, I will say it's better than, like, War Mastered or Remastered.
Oh
That was
God.
That is true.
And yeah,
But it's
just
a word.
and yeah, I just been doing my life stuff things.
How dare you?
I know. And so I guess next victim.
Well, that'd be you, Gauntlets.
It's not been too much going on here. My parents have decided when they're going away this summer, so I'm making my plans for that. I'll probably take some time off from work. I don't think I'm going to go with them, but I haven't decided for sure yet. It's been getting warmer here, which has been more difficult for me to sleep. I do have an air conditioner, but I'm trying to use it not too much, and also I'm not sure if it's working fully. Let's see, works pretty much. I might be increasing my hours at work a little bit starting earlier, but we'll see how that goes. Gaming wise, I've been continuing to play Pokemon and mess around on the Isle of Armor. I still have not decided which way to evolve my Cubchoo or Cubfu because they both have good points. And I have been playing a little bit of ARMS to talk about today because it's been a long time since I actually played ARMS, which is part of the thing we're going to be talking about today, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it's arms, like.
yeah, I know, but
Mhm.
like, I mean, the thing that we'll be talking about, part of it will probably involve why I haven't played it recently.
Right. We'll get to that when we get to that. Anything else?
I think that's about it.
All right, it's my go. Let's see. I guess first of all, incoming message from our executive producer, who has emerged from the mists of the void, and he wanted us to mention that he's got another Indiegogo campaign running. I'm sure somebody will post the link in the doobly-doo while I bang this off. Yeah, so he's running Mac is running an Indiegogo campaign for Covert Ops episodes 2 and 3. Apparently, a big impetus behind the push behind this Indiegogo campaign is one of the voice actors has fallen on hard times. Carrie Means has lost his home due to a massive tree falling on it, and apparently this Indiegogo campaign will help with that, which is a bit unusual since that kind of misfortune is more a GoFundMe rather than an Indiegogo, but it's not my crowdfunding. And I do have good news on this one because no secret that the last couple of Kickstarter, Indiegogos, what have yous, haven't done any business, quite frankly. Like the last attempt at this was not good. In fact, it was so bad that it had to be canceled, and but it's already been 15% funded, which I've been told is enough for it to be funded on the flex funding thing that Indiegogo has.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do sink money into this one, it's going to be made. At least that's the inference I got from Mac's message.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll admit I'm not fully cognizant of the details because, well, Mac's not here.
Mm-hmm.
But campaign's running for 27 more days. We'll probably give another mention of it at some point. Maybe next Wednesday. See how things go. But yeah, so that's happening. Let's see, personal news. Let's see, I'm getting my birthday presents early because, well, when you reach my age, practicality is usually the first thing you think of when in terms of birthday presents. Namely, my sandals broke the other day, so I went up and asked dear mother, if she would get some footwear for me for my birthday, especially in light that she had, some extravagant plans for me this year because it's my 60th birthday. It's a significant birthday, and thanks to the coronavirus pandemic, that shit ain't happening. So, rather than said to spend that money on footwear, I don't mind it too much because, yeah, I was like, even if things were going down, more on this in the post show, but considering we're getting record-breaking coronavirus reports in the state right now, yeah, not a thing I want to do.
Florida.
Yes. Like, I mean, my mother asked me the other day if I was going to get a haircut anytime soon. I'm like, no. Like, I told her, like, no, I want to live. Like, he's like, what if it gets its shoulder length? I'm like, better than dying.
Yeah, I'm a little bit past due for a haircut too, and frankly, I don't. Even though like I trust my hairdresser and Maine has not been nuts, I still don't want to do that if I can help it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I live in Florida. It's humid as fuck, and I feel it every day. But it's still, I would choose life over haircuts.
Yeah, because first person who coughs in there, you're sprinting out the door.
Yeah, saying like, even with social distancing rules, it's like, with hair, they're up close and personal. It's like unless you know that they don't have the virus, you could get the virus. I'm like, I had to explain all this, because she's thinking of getting her hair done next month, and probably gonna cancel and let her hair grow up because I'm like, no, it's not going down. They're reporting like just today they are reporting like 5,000 cases in the state plus. So yeah, that is why I'm not in any hurry to get a haircut. Anyway, so that's about it for the news this week. So, merrily, we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us this week, our good friend John Pickett of MangaGamer.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back.
Oh, indeed. How are you holding up these days?
I've been doing quite well. Fortunately, everything that we do over at MangaGamer is pretty much all work from home. My two coworkers on the management team that typically work out of our Tokyo office, they're still working from home for the most part since Japan is I think Tokyo's still under lockdown, or they just released the lockdown in the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they'd started reopening the rest of Japan. But yeah, all of our staff work from home, so everyone's been staying safe, staying home, getting their work done. no real interruptions to our production other than trying to figure out how to do announcements without conventions.
I was wondering about that since, yeah, you guys typically announce stuff at the conventions, and conventions just aren't. I won't say they aren't happening, but even if they're open, you probably don't want to go to one.
Yeah, the only convention that we typically do that actually still has a chance of happening this year is Anime New York in November. And they haven't canceled that one yet. But we'll see what happens there. That's still like 5 months from now, so who knows what it's going to be like then. In the meantime, though, yeah, we started doing our announcements via video stream through our YouTube channel. We did our first one of those last month, and we have our next one coming up on Thursday next week.
And how's that been going?
I think it's been working well. We've had quite a bit of good response to it. Still, just like the online response has been just as prevalent to the online announcements. I still kind of miss being able to see the fans in person and answer questions in person to the crowd and talk to people at the booth. But it's been working out.
Well, that's good. And what have you announced recently?
So we did have the 8th chapter of Higurashi, which is the final chapter of the main storyline. That was released, I want to say last month. So that just leaves the 3 Rei chapters and the 3 Ho chapters left for us to put out. This month in June, we also released Beat Angel Escalator. For those of people out there who are my age might remember the hentai anime for this game.
I remember the name being thrown around.
Same
Yeah,
here.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so the Beat Angel Escalator, the original game, was published quite a while back by Alisoft, and they made hentai anime out of it that got localized. And our company did the localization for the remake that was recently put out. So we finally released that in English. And people who played Beat Blade's Haruka, the gameplay system is similar to that, where it's raising the magical girl Escalator. And the stories and the scenes vary a lot depending on the choices you make and how you and the scenes you choose in order to train the magical girl and improve her powers. We also recently released Sakura no Mori Dreamers, which is both a horror and a moege story by Moonstone, the creators of Princess Evangel and Imoto Paradise. And releasing 2 weeks from now will be Nyan Cafe, which is it's a cute, sexy story about a guy who ends up working at a cat cafe where 3 girls confess their love to him all at once, and from there the game sort of follows the story there about which girl you end up with, and or whether or not you manage to end up with all 3.
Any others?
So those are the new announcements that we've released in terms of what's actually out or coming out soon. Like I said, in our video announcement back in May, we announced our acquisition of Musicus, which is Overdrive's final title. It's the final title in the series that takes place in the same world as Kira Kira, Deerdrops. So fans of those series, fans of rock and roll, and more dramatic stories are going to find a lot to enjoy about that. And the video is still up on our YouTube channel, so people can watch the announcement themselves if they would like more information.
I see. And well, let's see. I suppose to double back a bit on like Higurashi. How long has it taken for you to get through like all the main bits of this series?
It's taken us quite a few years to get through it, but there's been sort of different bottlenecks here and there. Because the thing with Higurashi is each of the chapter is pretty much of, each chapter is very long on its own. And like I said, the translation for the Rei chapters and the Ho chapters are complete. It's a matter of getting the programming done and also just spacing out the releases. It's not, all coming all at once because we have other titles that need to be released as well.
Of course. And also, how are y'all feeling that, supplemental bits aside, that the series is, in essence, wrapped up?
Pretty good. It's good to actually be done with it. The series is huge. We're glad we managed to get them out before the anime remake that's coming out.
Yeah.
I think it was originally scheduled. I think the announcement for that said something about this summer or this fall originally, but obviously that's probably changed.
I'm trying to think. I think it got officially delayed to 2021. Like,
that would not surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a good time for it because, the original Higurashi series seems to be fading from memory.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently when they announced it, they were surprised at how little fanfare there was because, you go back maybe 10 years, maybe a little more, and Higurashi was one of the biggest titles in the anime. But and then it became kind of meme fodder for a while, but now nobody really talks about Higurashi, at least the anime series.
Because I was gonna say, I mean, maybe that's just unique to the fact that our company is the publisher of the games, but we still hear plenty of discussion about Higurashi. But
Right.
that may just be biased, as since we're the publishers, we're going to hear about it.
It could be. I'm also talking about Higurashi, the anime series. That's a bit of a different circle than Higurashi, the visual novel. I know there's a ton of overlap, but it's like there are people who might not necessarily have watched that, who got into the series, in the recent past, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm just noting that the creative forces behind this have been shocked at the reception or lack thereof. So, probably a good thing to get this back in the public eye.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with that aside, we should talk about the featured title. Hang on. Did I cut out there?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so we'll be talking about our featured title here, Sakura no Mori Dreamers. So I suppose the first question that comes to mind is, what is a Sakura no Mori, and why are they dreaming about it?
So Sakura no Mori is the name of the location in which all the characters are. It's where the story takes place. If you were to translate it literally, Sakura no Mori translates to cherry blossom forest.
Right.
So the Sakura no Mori is the location where this all takes place. And the issue of what they're dreaming of is probably the more I want to say nuanced part of that.
I think that word works.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. that might be venturing into spoiler territory. But anyway, so this is a combination of horror, mystery, and sexy times.
Yeah.
It's quite the range for a visual novel.
Yeah, and it was definitely unexpected by fans both in America and Japan, considering that the company that developed this, Moonstone, is, known for their cutesy moe titles like Princess Evangile. And so this is kind of a very large, it's just very different from what they typically do.
Right. And I suppose before venturing forth, we can we talk about the Steam situation here?
So there's a couple of things we can say. Yes, if people search for Sakura no Mori Dreamers on Steam, it will come up. That is the Chinese localization. The Chinese company that localized Sakura no Mori Dreamers acquired the rights to release a Chinese version of the game directly from Moonstone, and they decided to publish it on Steam. Unfortunately,
just under the name in English, like it doesn't show. It shows up even if you're like not, for example, searching for it in Japanese, like you think you, or in Chinese, like you'd think you would if you were looking for the Chinese version.
Right. If you search it for it in English, you will turn up the Chinese version.
That's very strange.
The reason for this, and the problem behind this, is the way Steam handles games. Essentially, Steam and Valve tell you as the developer that you are not allowed to publish on Steam unless you have worldwide rights. You have to have the rights to publish your title to the whole world in order to publish the game on Steam. If you don't have that, you're not supposed to be able to publish it on Steam. However, Valve doesn't give a shit. So even though the Chinese localizations only have rights to sell the game in China, they were the first ones to put it on Steam, and Valve doesn't care. Valve is not going to step in. Valve is like, your problem, not ours, and refuses to lift a finger.
Well, that also begs a question that I'm not sure that can be answered here. But I'm the Chinese company itself. How big are they? How powerful are they? Like, that's another factor that could be affecting things.
It's not so much an issue of how big or how powerful they are as it is an issue of anything to resolve that situation ends up invoking international laws and jurisdiction issues, and
right.
It's a mess. But essentially, yeah, the Chinese have no rights to be published on Steam, but that's what they did. And Valve will not enforce their own policies. They say it's up to the developers to sort that legal battle out themselves.
Well,
because whoever publishes on Steam checks the box that says they have the worldwide rights. So it's the Chinese publishers lying to Steam, falsely claiming that they have rights that they don't have in order to do so.
Yeah. Well, I suppose another question is this game on GOG then?
We have not published this on GOG as of yet.
But are there plans to do that?
Depends on GOG. Again, GOG looks at every title individually, so they're a bit more selective and limited with the amount of titles you can publish every year or every month.
Not a surprise, given what I've heard about them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But they actually review and have standards, so it's still a little better than Steam.
depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
Like, because standards also mean stuff gets filtered out. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm like, I had people from back in the day who complained about that vehemently, but that's another topic for another day. Like, anyway, so getting back to Sakura no Mori Dreamers itself, now what kind of visual novel is this? Is this like, in terms of like the romance, do you have to like romance the girls, or is that something part of the story? Do you get to make choices, or is this like purely narrative?
So there are choices. There are different girls and routes with each of the girls that happens. The romances sort of develop throughout the story as you go, but the main focus of the story is more on the horror aspect and the mystery and the main story arc of the main plot of the story.
Right. And in terms of the mystery aspect, is that any part of that interactive? Because like I remember like one of the previous titles we covered here had that element.
Yeah, so this isn't quite like Karo no Shoujo where you were actually like investigating crime scenes. It's more you make choices as you play through, and that determines how the story progresses.
So more traditional visual novel style.
Yeah.
And like I suppose, like how long is this, or rather, like how many routes are there, and so on and so forth.
This is a full-length title, and I believe there are 5 different heroine routes.
And I'm guessing that there's probably a true final route at the end there.
Yeah.
Standard stuff. And let's see. Now, in terms of violence and sex, what kind of age rating are we talking about here?
So obviously, since the MangaGamer version is going to have the full explicit sex scenes in it, so you can expect to have plenty of, vanilla sex with the different heroines. If you were to say cut all the sex scenes out, it would probably still be rated mature for the horror elements, and those are pretty scary and pretty creepy on their own.
Yeah, it's like the creatures are pretty Giger-esque, let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty blatant, but I've seen more blatant in video games. Like, just like all of the 80s. You'd come up at least one aliens-inspired creature.
Yeah.
But, so, this is not a game for children, basically.
No.
Yeah. I did notice that you can also adjust if you want the H scenes on or off in the game. So, that is an option for those who might not want it there. Let's see. And what kind of voice work is contained within the title?
All the main heroines are voiced. And I believe, it's a full voice title.
And in terms of Seru, any notable casting choices here?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Like, sometimes that doesn't... Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't happen. Like, admittedly, I'm not somebody who's going to really notice that. But I know there are people who are really, really focused on this kind of detail. Anyway. And let me see here. Well, I suppose that's all of my questions in terms of Sakura no Mori Dreamers. What about you guys?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I haven't actually done too much with it yet, so I am not quite at the point where I have questions yet. Sorry. I will probably have some by the time we do the review.
Ironically, well, the review's this Sunday, so
Right.
yeah. And let's see. I guess that's about it for this session. So we're when is your next announcement stream, and where can people watch it?
Yeah, so our next announcement stream is going to be not tomorrow, but next Thursday, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and send you guys the link so you can post that up.
Right. Okay, and yeah, hopefully that goes well. John, as always, it was lovely having you on the program. Let's see, in terms of returning, is August 26th good for you?
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah. All right. So until then, John, take care. Stay safe.
Yeah. Same to you. I hope all your listeners and viewers stay safe as well.
Yeah. All right. So the game is Sakura no Mori Dreamers. It is currently available on the MangaGamer website. It clocks in at $44.95. And be sure to pick it up today. All right, Betty, play us to the next segment. All right, welcome to the topic of discussion. So this week we're talking about ARMS. Now, we may have talked about this topic before, but it's relevant. It's extremely relevant because, in case you've been under a rock, Nintendo had the ARMS reveal, 2 days ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's certainly a topic worth discussing because we usually talk about the latest Smash Brothers fighter. Indeed, this is the first fighter out of the Challenge Pack 2. Which is 6 characters. As always with Smash, there's been a lot of anticipation, especially since, ARMS hasn't exactly gotten the most recognition.
I think it deserves a little bit more than it's gotten, but the problem is that it's too... it was early in the Switch, and they released another competitive multiplayer-focused game. And they already had Splatoon 2 that was, going soon, so...
Well, it's also ARMS had a bit of a learning curve. And that's been transferred to Min Min here. Yeah, once again, in case you missed it, the ARMS character is Min Min. Which is maybe a bit of a surprise, maybe not, depending on who you were expecting.
It's not much of a surprise to me. She was always kind of the third most... she and Ninjara were kind of the number 3, aside from Master Mummy, who they wouldn't do, because he got a lot of... just to show that, yes, there are heavy characters in this, too. But yeah, Min Min was always kind of tied with Ninjara for third billing. Twintel was a very strong character in terms of popularity, but I don't think she was always she never made it quite that high. And also, which has showed up, it made sense to me when I saw the reveal because they're using her default arms, and Min Min's default arms have more variety than Twintel's. She has a heavy electro ball thing. All of Twintel's are medium or lightweight.
Right. Well, it's also, as I understand it, now, from what I've seen, I'm not sure how true this is. Apparently Sakurai wanted Ninjara, but Ibuki wanted Min Min. And since Ibuki is the, guy in charge of ARMS, he went with his, or Nintendo went with his nod. Because Sakurai has mentioned that he's not the one who gives the green light to which characters get picked.
Yeah, which is important because otherwise people would probably be bothering him about it all the goddamn time.
It won't
Well,
stop him.
Yeah, guess what?
Okay,
That
even
happened.
more.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like Min Min is like the most popular character at this point, from what I've been told, and she's also apparently the canonical winner of the ARMS tournament.
I don't think there is one. I think it depends on who you play as.
This is just what I've heard. That's another problem with ARMS. Like,
Yeah,
believe it or
ARMS
not.
is very setting light compared to, say, Splatoon, which is very... there's a lot of setting stuff if you look for it. In ARMS, if there's any setting stuff, you have to look super hard.
Yeah, that's always been a problem with ARMS. It's very light on its lore. And I know it may sound strange for me to mention this, but let me tell you, fighting games, their lore is really fucking important.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Do you want me to sit you down and tell you the Mortal Kombat lore? Jesus.
Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter, Soul Calibur. You want to look at the lore that this shit has? Holy shit, you'll be occupied for days.
Blaze Blue will just drive you insane.
Yeah.
My God, even something like Killer Instinct has a fair amount of lore. And that's only had like 3 games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like Nintendo really went out of their way to not inject a lot of story here, not a lot of background. Like,
one day, people somehow developed springy arms that they just have for some reason.
And apparently can also have
they
normal
started
arms
a
too.
fighting league.
Yeah, I mean, now this was supposed to be remedied with a graphic novel that was supposed to happen at some point, but I don't know, just kind of faded into the mists. Maybe predicated on how lukewarm ARMS did. Like,
again, it was doing kind of okay, and then Splatoon 2 like actually came out.
You know, it's also people begrudged ARMS for the lack of fighters, especially at launch. Now, in that case, ARMS is a new fighting game. You know,
and new fighting game franchises don't always start with a lot of people.
No, it's like the games, the franchises, the fighters that have a ton of characters have been around for literal decades. It's like Street Fighter did not accrue the cast it has on 1 or 2 iterations. Oh no, that is a cast that has
Street
grown.
Fighter 1 had literally 8 characters, of which you could play as 2, and of the other ones they were in recolor pairs, and half of them have literally never shown up since then. Yeah. And then I think Street Fighter 2 started with 8 or 10 characters or something like that.
Street Fighter 2 had 8 characters, 4 bosses. And in fact, that was the first character extension. Making the bosses playable. And then we got Super Street Fighter 2, which introduced 4 wholly new characters, and on it goes. And that's how it worked.
Eventually, Street Fighter 2 had a shit ton of characters, but it did not start like that.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't begrudge ARMS too much for not having a whole bunch of characters, and they added characters because that's a thing that gets fixed with sequels
or DLC nowadays.
Yeah. Or, well, even back in the day, new editions would come out with new characters. Once again, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Need I go on?
I was about to say, how many re-releases of Street Fighter 2 has there been?
A lot.
A lot. And you keep doing it, too. Remember, Ultra Street Fighter 2, which had another new fucking character? This violent Ken business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because why should Ryu be the only one who has the Satsui no Hado?
I have no idea what that is.
I think okay, the Satsui no Hado is when you know that style and decide to actually kill people and you get super strong or some shit.
I'll take your word for it.
It's the reason Sagat has that scar on his chest.
Anyway, so getting back to ARMS here, because that's what this is about. as per any character reveal, there's been a lot of wailing and gnashing of the teeth because their character didn't get picked. Yeah, it's like so. Yeah, Min Min's the full-on character. Ninjara is the costume.
Because they always make new costumes for Mii fighters.
Yeah. Also a new Smash rule, or rather, a rule has been broken. Spirits do not preclude characters.
That was never a very strong rule.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I get that, but it's officially happened with Min Min because she was a spirit. But yeah, and also worth noting that her arena isn't her arena. Like, she's using Spring Stadium, which is Springman's.
It's also kind of like the default.
Yeah. Which I think goes to show that, if Springman hadn't been quote-unquote taken...
Oh, no, he's obviously the face. I mean, he's super fucking boring, and his special unique character trait is the least interesting in the game.
No, I know, but that has not stopped Nintendo from...
Right, but if he hadn't already been an assist fighter that basically functions as a character, he would have been the choice. He would have been a super obvious choice.
Right.
And Ribbon Girl is only slightly more interesting. Her special power is that she gets an extra jump. Putting her at the level that like every fucking one else in Smash is at, I think.
Right. No, the real complainers were the people who were favoring Twintel. And I'll be honest, I think, a good portion of that was just horniness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Min Min doesn't have them legs too.
I know that, but I'm like, I'm also not ignorant of situations. Now, I will say it's not all that, and some people were, how do I put this, screaming about racial representation, which is kind of its own issue with Smash.
Twintel is a arms fighter of color.
Yeah.
Min Min is decidedly less so. She's Chinese, but she looks pretty white.
Right, but here's the thing. She's still, to the terminology, she's a person of color. But this gets into, black or brown representation. It's like I don't think it's been determined what ethnicity Twintel is exactly.
She's French, but I don't know like where she's like her ancestors are from.
Yeah, it's like probably North Africa, but once again that Arabic descent versus black descent. But that's not a discussion I'm really comfortable having.
Right.
But it's also this is the first Asian girl in Smash.
Japan or Chinese at least, maybe Asian.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's
surprisingly few of the Smash characters have like actual real world nationalities.
Right. It is a bit hard to delineate, specific race as opposed to like skin color. Like Mario should be Italian, but he's from the Mushroom Kingdom, which is all sorts of question marks. I'll be honest, I think the original lore of Mario, such as it was, had it better. Him being from Brooklyn. But that's neither here nor there. I'm like, representation of people of color is a problem in Smash, but that's more a problem with the games industry at large.
And I'm not saying Twintel isn't a person of color, but if they wanted to, they could very easily say, no, she just like spray tans or something. I don't think they should.
I think the biggest...
No, I just saw a thing about the whole Ariana Grande's basically pretending to be black thing today, and it was like, well, yeah. But yeah, we have like 2 question mark Romanians, a couple of Americans, some Japanese guy, at least one Japanese guy, then like some humans from fantasy worlds with different countries, a bunch of space furries, some people from outer space humans, a large quantity of just anthropomorphic animals that are less anthropomorphic than the space furries, some Pokemons, and a bunch of things from the Mushroom Kingdom. There are more Hylians than there are of any actual real world nationality.
Right. So, in terms of that debate, unfortunate, but, going counter or going differently racist, like going racist against Asian people because your pick didn't get chosen, yeah, that wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And that definitely happened, unfortunately. Like, so, just such things are so very exasperating.
Indeed.
Now, as far as Min Min herself goes,
Her special ability is actually probably one of the ones that works best in Smash. Also, it's the flip kick that reflects projectiles, which in ARMS means punches, because in ARMS your punches are projectiles.
Right.
Also, she has that cool thing where her arm turns into a fucking dragon
Mm-hmm.
when she's charged up.
It's like
that happens when she's not using a dragon on that arm, a dragon arm weapon on that arm, but it makes the most sense with the dragon, and that's what her default arm is on that arm.
Yeah, and it looks like in terms of usability, people are wondering how useful she's actually going to be.
So they always do this with the DLC characters. They go out of their way to do weird things with them that make them sort of more true to the thing they're from than normal Smash characters, like the thing where fucking Terry always faces his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's and has back specials. So yeah, Min Min's specials, and at least for her like front and side smashes and tilts, are like the same as her punches, except for they use the other hand. But I think her up and down tilts and specials are different. So that's a little bit different than most characters, because you're essentially controlling one arm with one with one button and the other arm with the other one.
Right, which is in keeping with the ARMS game.
Mm-hmm.
But not necessarily with Smash. So that's been a point of controversy.
Right, because remember, ARMS is basically boxing.
Mm-hmm. And let me see here. In terms of other costumes, we got Heihachi from Tekken.
Yeah, Heihachi is a rerun of one that was in Smash 4, I believe.
Yes. I thought he was already there, and I definitely remember him beforehand. And trying to think. But like the big new costume character is Vault Boy from Fallout.
Just gonna say, not as hype as Sans or friggin' Cuphead.
I'd say more hyped than fucking Altair. Did anyone even remember that Altair's as a costume appeared in Smash?
Did he have a song with him?
No.
They didn't make a big deal. I think he was just like one of the ones, but yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, here's Altair.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was just going at the ones that they like made a big deal about.
Yeah.
Now, does Vault Boy horribly glitch out every time you use him, or?
Probably not, if only because it's a Mii Fighter costume
rather than a character.
Yeah. Vault Boy's special ability has hit detection so bad that he can move through other characters, sometimes accidentally executes other characters' moves.
Summons a dragon.
Like, has access to the command console. God, Fallout 76 is a fucking mess.
To the dev room. Wait.
Yep. I mean, that's what happens when you basically take Fallout 4 and make it multiplayer. That's all Fallout 76 is, by the way.
It is.
That all that hacking, that was getting to the fucking developer tools.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's the rundown of the first DLC of Challenge Pack 2 or Fighters Pack 2 or whatever the hell they're calling it. That's coming next week. June 30th, I think. And not sure if this is going to ARMS development or whatever, but it does show that Nintendo's clearly not forgotten about ARMS. Given that this is the first party Nintendo character to appear in a while. And keep in mind, I'm talking about first.
At least deserve that much credit of being like a new franchise, which is something that they don't do all that often.
Right, and yes, I know like Fire Emblem characters have shown up, but that's not a full first party franchise.
I guess
no, Intelligent Systems.
Yeah.
It's like, so Nintendo classifies those like first party IP as the things that come out of EAD or they're in what they consider their internal development team. That includes like even like Kirby. Like technically he's not a first party Nintendo character because HAL Laboratory both created him and co-owns the IP. But most people consider him to be as first party can be.
I guess Nintendo has a lot of second party stuff, and that's not a terminology that gets used all that often.
No. But still, ARMS is their newest, like, wholly original, created from EPD kind of deal that was released full formed. So it's nice to see that ARMS is represented here. And in terms of what's coming next, well, we have no clue.
They did not include a tease with this one.
I would love Tails, but
Well, understandable because of COVID, like the COVID pandemic.
I mean, they did this one from Sakurai's house, for frick's sake.
Yeah, has impacted. So it's not a surprise that they don't have a teaser or anything going on for character number 2. Also, amiibos are still a thing, barely. You kind of, like, if you were paying attention, you kind of got the sense that Nintendo's almost done with the amiibo thing.
Yeah, they just have the semi-obligation to make ones for all the Smash characters.
Yeah. Like you got to read between the lines, but Sakurai is basically saying that Nintendo's pretty much done with amiibos. Like, I guess they're not selling or whatever, but there's
a lot of them. There are games that use them well, but not a lot of games don't use them well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there are just a ton of them already, and my shelf is very full.
Well, I mean, at the very least, the DLC fighters are going to get their Smash trophies. Keep in mind, we're talking about DLC Pack 1, so they showed off
Joker
and the hero. I think, what was it, his Dragon Quest 11 incarnation?
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine Ogre's probably going to hunt that down.
Has he mentioned it?
I haven't asked him about it. I didn't even look at the amiibo thing.
Well, ask him on Thursday.
Yeah.
I guess I'd ask him, but I'm not sure I'd get a response. Like, he's gone silent. Anyway, So yeah, as far as ARMS itself goes, we'll just have to wait and see. We could be getting an ARMS 2 announcement. That's the that's
I don't know.
the
I
thing.
feel like the franchise has a significant amount of potential, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah. So I think that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. The week ahead. So coming up, we do have a Friday show scheduled, and it looks like it so far it is on. It's on. It's happening. Um, on Friday, June 26th, we'll be having Bruno Carvello of Cubite Entertainment. Cubite Entertainment. They're one of these publishers that do a lot of work, a lot of porting, just a whole lot of games. We've covered a few of them on the show recently. See our reviews of, say, Dogurai and what was it, Hang the Kings, which we just did a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they also do original games, like their latest announcement, at least on their website, is a game for a Metroidvania called 2120 Mars Project Colonies. And they got like the Vasara collection here. 99 videos, HDR plus high-tech racing, World Wild West, and more. Yeah, so there's not going to be any shortage of things to talk about. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, let's see, we'll be having reviews of Polybridge 2, Thy Sword, Dreadnautical, and Sakura no Mori Dreamers. So until Friday, I shall wish you good gaming.